Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating shift in how we interact with software. We're literally looking at the end of plain text AI responses and the rapid, massive paradigm shift of bringing fully functional, interactive user interfaces directly into your chat window. I mean, it is a profound change. But as we're going to see, there's a hidden trap here, a massive gap for enterprise users, and today we're going to unpack exactly what that gap is and, more importantly, how to cross it.
Okay, let's dive into this with a real-world scenario. This exact thought crossed the mind of Tom Bennett. He's an IT director at a 400-person logistics firm. Now, Tom was reading the news in early 2026 when Anthropic launched their MCP Apps, which basically allowed tools to return dynamic forms or dashboards instead of just, boring text. Launch partners included giants like Canva, Figma, and Slack. But actually, Tom didn't really care about using Canva inside Claude. His immediate, burning question was, could our highly specific warehouse exception tool ever look like that, instead of looking like some clunky spreadsheet built in 1998? Could his legacy internal tools get this magical, modern UI treatment right inside an AI chat?
To help us figure that out, this agenda is going to act as our mental map to systematically untangle the dense alphabet soup of acronyms and players today. We'll start with the new AI paradigm, outline the enterprise marketplace problem, clear up the jargon, explore the governed alternative, and finally, connect your internal systems.
Starting with Section 1, the new AI paradigm. We are moving from plain text to interactive UI.
Let's move to and see how this builds across the timeline, because the sheer velocity here is wild. In October 2025, OpenAI announces their Apps SDK at Dev Day. Just a few months later, January 2026, Anthropic officially launches MCP Apps, an open extension to the Model Context Protocol. By February, enterprise platform engineers, like Anna Souza, are frantically researching how to apply this to their internal systems. Fast forward to July 2026, OpenAI opens up directory submissions, and right on its heels, Artificial Wit publishes the definitive enterprise solution to this whole puzzle. We literally went from an initial announcement to an absolute industry scramble in less than a year.
So imagine pulling up a support ticket. Instead of just getting text that says, "Ticket created," the tool renders a fully editable ticket right there in your conversation sandbox. Interactive UI in chat is no longer a novelty, guys. It is a shared, open standard. And it's spanning across major clients like Claude, VS Code Insiders, and Goose. This isn't just a rebrand of existing widgets, it is a fundamental structural shift in how AI clients operate.
Which brings us to Section 2, the enterprise marketplace problem, and specifically, the fatal flaw of public discovery. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that while these three main flavors, Anthropic's MCP Apps, OpenAI's Apps SDK, and Lovable's auto-generated servers, are all incredibly exciting, they share a fatal flaw when it comes to the enterprise. They are all fundamentally built for publishable, discoverable software. They're designed for products with users outside your company. Think Canva or Spotify. They require public directory submissions, reviews, or manual additions. They're absolutely not built for your company's highly sensitive internal ERP or ticketing systems.
And this brings us right back to Anna Souza. She runs platform engineering at a 300-person regional insurer. In February 2026, her team tried to get their internal claims adjustment tool into this new ecosystem, and they just hit a massive brick wall. She realized quite painfully that there simply wasn't a marketplace built for software that literally nobody outside her company would ever use. I mean, you don't submit your proprietary claims API to a public app store for review, right? The whole ecosystem was built to protect end users from public apps, and it completely ignored the enterprise need to securely surface internal APIs without publishing them to the world.
So let's head into Section 3, clearing up the jargon, and untangling this name collision so we don't get lost in the weeds.
To really grasp the solution, we've got to pull apart two terms that sound almost identical but solve entirely different problems. We have Anthropic's MCP Apps and Artificial Wit's MCP App UI. Anthropic's MCP Apps is the open protocol extension. If you use this, your developers still have to manually build and declare a UI resource, and its target is publishable products. On the flip side, Artificial Wit's MCP App UI is completely different. It's a schema-driven rendering feature designed exclusively for private internal APIs. Both build on the same foundational protocol, but they are tackling two totally different worlds.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the rendering feature actually works.
MCP App UI automatically generates the interface directly from your tool's input schema. You don't have to build a custom front end. If your internal API has a simple string argument, it automatically turns into a text field in the chat. If it has an array of objects, boom, it instantly renders as a beautiful table. It completely bypasses the need for any manual front-end coding. It's like a giant shortcut.
Moving into Section 4, the governed alternative. We are talking private, secure, and governed by default.
Look, if you're bringing your company's sensitive internal APIs directly into an AI chat interface, you absolutely require strict governance. A public app like Canva doesn't know your organization's internal role structure, it just shows the same interface to everyone. But Artificial Wit's approach inherently bypasses those public review cycles and natively inherits agent governance and role-based access control. This means if you render an internal support ticket tool, the priority dropdown a junior support rep sees will be entirely different from the dropdown a senior manager sees, and you don't have to write two separate versions of the form to make that happen.
So, the crucial point is that the security model of your business cannot break just because the interface moved into a chat window. The practical access model of who can see and do what must be respected at every single level, automatically. Security and governance have to seamlessly transition into this new AI ecosystem.
Finally, Section 5, connecting your internal systems. Let's talk about getting started without the wait.
So how did Anna Souza's team ultimately solve their problem? Well, they did it in 3 incredibly frictionless steps. First, configure. You just register your internal API's endpoint and its input schema in Artificial Wit. Next, generate. You instantly create an API key from your dashboard. And finally, connect. You simply point Claude, ChatGPT, or any MCP-compatible client at that endpoint. That's the whole shebang. Your internal tool is immediately callable in chat. No public submission, no front-end build, and absolutely no waiting in line for a partner slot. It just works, right now, for the people authorized to use it.
Anthropic, OpenAI, and Lovable have undeniably proven that interactive UI inside AI chat is the future of software interaction. The pattern is here, and it works at a massive scale. The enterprise gap has finally been bridged. So, the only question left to ask yourself is, do your own systems get this upgrade too? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.